Welcome to the JWK show. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys are having a great day. We talk about crypto and news and we keep things short and concise. We had this from David Schwartz back in 2017, December 18th, and he said, XRP is an asset that can be used for settlement. It's kind of like gold that can instantly teleport around the world. So this is what the 1%, the banks, institutions, this is what they're looking for. This is why they will be using Ripple and XRP. We can see in Cora, David Schwartz says, RippleNet is a payment system like Visa. However, Visa doesn't actually move money. It just records payments and adjusts balances. This is why they have to use Nostro and Vostro accounts and their money stored in accounts, and that is not efficient. RippleNet is superior to existing payment systems. It completes the payments instantaneously and ensures end-to-end communications that avoids failures and a need for humans to track payments manually. So this is basically the banker's holy grail. And we have the mention of RippleNet, Liquidity, XRP, XRapid, Nostro and Vostro, and so on. And we have a video from David Schwartz. This is something that everyone needs to listen to. Let's take a look at this video.
I believe that there can be two existing world reserve currencies to simultaneously exist.
I do, and I think that could happen. I think it's quite realistic that a lot of the world is just done with the dollar as their reserve currency. And I think that there's a lot of places that are willing to try something else. And one of my scenarios, and I don't think it's going to play out quickly, but like one of my wild case success scenarios for a digital asset is if countries start to realize that the US dollar is not going to be the reserve currency forever. Other things are going to be the reserve currency. And the same thing that we saw with banks. Like people, when we started selling software to banks, people would say to me, why would a bank use something that like you guys were selling them when they could use something that was like made by banks? And what they didn't realize is that only like 10 banks in the country, on the planet, are Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, like the ones who would build a system that the entire planet would run on. For the rest of the banks, that's 6,000 smaller banks, those are their biggest, strongest competitors. Those are the entities they hate the most. They would not want to use the system built and maintained by them because it's going to be biased in favor of them, their biggest and strongest competitors. And I think the same thing could happen to nations. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the U.S., that's grown the U.S. economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the U.S. holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others. But realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rivals. And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the U.S. dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the U.S. dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
But the money question is, how do you get everybody to agree?
Well, I mean, they might agree if the alternative is that their geopolitical rivals force some new replacement for the dollar that's not, if they just replace, the old boss with a new boss. If the choice is no boss, if that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus.
That's good.
Yeah. It was great talking to you guys.
I got one question, just one.
This means XRP holders have the chance to become very wealthy. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.